Yo, what's up? I'm QR Terry, and today we're going to talk about ChatGPT for the enterprise. I'm going to get through this pretty quickly. You know, it's my birthday. I got to take some notes, but for those that don't know, every day I ask myself, what's the future? And I take detailed notes in a WTF journal. This is that journal. You're watching it. If you want to check out the journal, see all the other entries, and potentially become a future thinker yourself, I recommend you check out everydays.wtf. Now, with that being said, OpenAI is making another headline. I feel like this is happening every day. I mean, like, literally, I could have a show and just call it, what happened at OpenAI today. That's not this show, but it sometimes feels like that because this is a very emergent and impactful technology. So, what is OpenAI trying to change today? Check this out. They've announced something known as ChatGPT for the enterprise. Check it out. They've got GPT Enterprise. That's pretty tight. It's pretty tight. What are they talking about though? Well, they're saying that they're launching ChatGPT Enterprise, which offers enterprise-grade security and privacy, unlimited higher speed GPT-4 access, longer context windows for processing longer inputs. We all need that. Like, I don't care if you're an enterprise user or not. Like, that should be enabled for the masses. I know it costs a lot of money, and this is why it's only for enterprise users, but I mean, that's where GPT really shines, is if we can recall what's in its memory, and you don't have to have all these like short inputs and hacks and all that. But let me get back to the announcement. They said advanced data analysis capabilities, customization options, and much more. I took a look at the website. That much more means they're not going to train your data with their data. And I'll get into that in a bit. But like basically, they're not going to take your data. They're not going to take your data. That's what they're promising you. But you got to pay them a little bit more money. I'm not. I think a lot of companies aren't going to be mad at that. With that being said, one of the things that they have said is that, since ChatGPT's launch just 9 months ago, they've seen teams adopt it in over 80% of the Fortune 500 companies. I mean, they've got all the different user accounts. They can see the domains. We talked about, email addresses and how much information that they leak. So I'm guessing they just went in their database and they said, okay, here's the Fortune 500 company domains. Here's our user base. Find matches. And if there was at least one user at one of those companies that used their work email, they kind of were able to see that like they've got 80% of the Fortune 500 companies. Now, when you look at the pricing model for this, obviously you've got ChatGPT, which is free. A lot of people are using that, and that's how they crush their user numbers. That's using an older model of GPT, and that's GPT 3.5. Right now, the latest model is GPT-4. And so the only way you can get that is to upgrade and pay the $20 a month and get on the ChatGPT Plus. A lot of people do that if they use ChatGPT a lot, and they find the value in the $20 a month plan. And so that's been out for some time. It's worked. And so now they're going over into the enterprise realm, which I'm guessing is probably going to be a per seat model. And probably that's how most enterprise plans work. Is like, you have a team, you pay for X amount of seats, you get access, and it goes. So what do you get with that? Well, obviously you get a little bit more than what you would get in Plus. You're getting the ultra high speed ChatGPT 4, and you get unlimited. So that it's not going to be limited by your prompts. You're also going to get, the longer token inputs. We talked about that. So it's going to have a lot more context as it relates to what you're asking and what you needed to recall. And then on top of that, you're getting all the things you would need. So from a security standpoint, they're guaranteeing that nobody's going to be touching the data. For training, you're going to have your own admin console. They're going to separate church and state. Sounds pretty cool. Like, for me, the way I look at this is I think there's two camps. There's going to be the camp of companies that just don't trust OpenAI. And why should they, right? There's this company that's saying, hey, we're the future. We've got ChatGPT. We want to onboard you. Give us all your proprietary data. Put it on here. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, there's going to be a ton of companies and a lot of CTOs and CIOs that just object to that. They're going to say, I don't know what this company is. They popped up 9 months ago. They've got this tool. I don't trust it. And you can't get mad at that. Like, I understand. Like, most people would not hand over the keys to their business to a 9-month-old baby. And effectively, it's not exactly the same, but a 9-month-old startup is about the same. Like nothing is for sure. And like, this is so early that like, you can't bet all your eggs on just OpenAI solving all our problems. I mean, look at Yahoo in the early days. Very, very prominent internet company that took that really dominated the early 2000s and even the late 90s, and everyone used Yahoo. Yahoo had the game on lock, and having a Yahoo email was like a thing. And then, a company known as Google comes around, drops Gmail as a beta, and they say, hey, you can have unlimited storage on your email. It's not going to be limited. You don't have to ever delete an email ever. You can archive it, and literally changes not only the game of cloud storage and cloud architecture, but they also change, what it means to have an online email account. Now, that email account would become our gateway into a bunch of other things, including our smartphones. And Google's a dominant player today. Yahoo, they still exist. They had some recent updates even here recently, but they're nowhere near the behemoth that they once were. I'm not saying that's going to happen to ChatGPT or OpenAI. I'm just saying that, like, in tech, emerging technologies, they rise and they fall all the time. I mean, nobody's really lining up to go buy IBM ThinkPads. Wait, not IBM, Lenovo ThinkPads today. And, that was the start of the laptop. And, now it's the MacBook's turn. And tomorrow will probably be some spatial computer platform that we're on. So I say this to say, just because you can give these models your data, I'm of the notion that I probably would want to run my own privatized model, especially if I'm going to pay for it and I have the resources. Now, here's where this actually gets interesting. And this is the second point. So you say, like, well, if the big companies aren't going to do it because they don't want to hand over some of their proprietary data to these AIs, what should they do? Like, how do they respond? Because 80% of the companies already have someone in their company using it, and it's obviously helping them from a productivity standpoint. Because if I'm the worker, I want to use the AI, and I want to use the AI because if I have access to this AI and it makes my life a little bit more efficient and it improves my overall day-to-day, then I'm actually in a good spot, right? Like I'm a more effective employee. I can get through more work. I can add more value to the company, and hopefully, I know what the AI can and cannot do. So a lot of my qualms or fears associated with the AI replacing me are at ease because I see what the AI can do and I work alongside it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the second point that, like, really puts big companies on edge is going to be this whole concept of, like, well, what data is our data? Like, if the GPT model, we can't really delineate what actually that was trained on and what problems might occur from that training data, why would I want to be a part of that? And why would I want to associate my work product with that? Because let's say your ChatGPT was trained on Stephen King. So Stephen King, he's been very prolific about a writer versus AIs in all the news headlines and all that. But, like, let's say we can rest assured that GPT was trained on some capacity of his writing. What if he decides he wants to get compensated for that? What does that look like? How does that happen? And who's to blame if I actually write something? It's in his voice. It uses some of his. It's inspired by Stephen King. He can see it. He can prove it in a court of law. Like, I just used an OpenAI model and gave it some of my data, and it just came out with that. Like, I didn't actually know that they trained that. And as a corporation, you're gonna want to kind of limit your liability on that. So I think bigger corporations, publicly traded corporations, probably are gonna slow walk into this. Obviously, there's some need for them, and I think that there's gonna be some teams that are just gonna, like, we're all in. Hey, we take all the risks. This is the coolest thing ever. Let's do it. And there's gonna be some orgs that slow walk themselves into it. The final point I want to make on this, and I think that this is just something to make note. If I was a small enterprise business, like just small to medium sized business, like just small to medium, like let's say I got a team of 5 people, team of 25 people, team of 100 people. Yeah, why? What do you have to lose? Why would you not do this? If someone said, hey, even if a seat, let's say even if a seat costs $200, I don't know, I haven't actually filled out the form, and I plan on doing so, but let's just say it's $200 a seat. You got 5 people. So you're going to pay $1,000 a month for the enterprise version of GPT. But you can put some of your data in. Let's just say you need data for, I don't know, upcoming sales quarter. You want to make all your charts more beautiful. You want to structure it. You want to figure out how to communicate what the projections are in a way that resonates not only with the board, but with, like, the individual team members. And, you can change all that messaging. Beforehand, you might have stopped at the board. You might have stopped at, like, the team. But now you can get to each individual stakeholder, and you can, like, improve the understanding because you have an AI employee that literally can ingest the data and give it to you in whichever way you want. And then check this out. Once you make that prompt, it's a template. Anybody in the company can now hop in on that template and take advantage of it. That's some of the coolest things ever. And I think at this point, if I had a small to medium sized business and I was getting into the game, I would consider it just as much as I would, cloud infrastructure. Like, you don't really have anything to lose. Now, yes, I hear the whole concerns about the proprietary data and all that stuff. Most small companies don't have that issue just yet. And the companies that do, obviously, they're probably going to have some qualms with GPT. But if they're thinking about using it, guess what? You can go make your own proprietary GPT model. Like, I mean, a lot of these have been open sourced at this point, and if you've got the qualms, that means you've got some technical understanding. If you've got some technical understanding, you might know how to either attract the talent, or you might even have the talent internally. And on that note, I just want you to know, every day I ask myself, what's the future? And I take detailed notes in a WTF journal. What you're watching here is a recording from that WTF journal. Go ahead, check it out. I do it every day. If you want to see it, you can go to everydays.wtf. Yes, it's my birthday. I'm still here on it every day. And y'all know this just dropped. I can't pre-record this. So with that being said, I will catch you in the future.